at the ultimate usage, we've got a Coalescence coming in from Kold. We've got, looks like Primal Rage is up too. Even the Lucio beat is going to be up soon here. Manabata does get a pick there, but again, coming back, there's these huge ultimates coming in from Cold Fusion. A little bit of a whiff there. Well, I can't say a whiff, you know, dropping the beat, really smart in that moment, but the Coalescence comes out at the same time, and that's going to be a little bit of a problem, because now Kold is left over with no defensive ultimates, whereas, you know, Equinox is walking in. They can initiate with Bomb, get people to scatter, follow it up with Coalescence of their own, so it's going to be very tough to hold the point here on this next fight. We got an early Coalescence coming in from Equinox. They do fall first, though, so it looks like Sub-Zero is not done doing work. He throws the mine into Okami. Okami goes down first. It's a 5v6, but you have to win this fight. This is potentially the last fight on this map, so you really got to try to commit everything you have. Few kills coming in from Equinox's side. Can they hold on here? Looks like we've got about an even game. Applecheek's getting that kill on the Moira. That's going to be huge. They're also demeching the Diva. And it looks like Sub-Zero smartly from Kold's side knows to, you know, leave that fight alone. Now, as great as that turnaround was, there's a lot of input coming in from Equinox's side. Left with very little, maybe a, you know, Primal Rage coming from your Monkey, but you don't have a lot of other ultimates. I feel like Sub-Zero is going to have to get himself at least a 3-4K here. He does get one, but unfortunately loses his life upon trying to get that one. So, not a huge deal. Only investing tire there. They, you know, coming in from Kold. They oh no! But now they're investing even more. Yeah, this is a lost fight here. So let's go ahead and regroup. Again, you're at 40% to cap here. You have plenty of time if you want to go in and do a dry run, maybe bait out some of Equinox's ultimates that they have. You know, they have High Noon, they have the Bomb from Tracer, and of course Coalescence, Primal Rage as well. So you want to bait out some of those ults. Go in, don't really try to win this fight, just try to establish a presence to make Equinox think they have to use ultimates. Alright, so we do actually have ultimates coming in from both sides here. It looks like everybody's ready to commit. You know, taking that long to initiate the fight, now we're at a point where you have to win this fight, and it looks like Kold is going to do that. They have 2K coming in so far. Diabolic trying to make a lot of space for his team, does get a chance to take down the Moira. We've got an even fight here. This is going to be really, really interesting to see what happens with Okami and this High Noon. I think we're going to have to see, you know, somebody pop off from one side or the other. There's kills being traded back and forth. It looks like now we have a pretty strong Equinox advantage on the point. Beat is dropped. It looks like that's going to be easy hold of the point. Okami, of course, not having any of that Coalescence. Sit down. Mercy's going down next. Yeah, this is good. Looks like it's going to be a first map capture for Equinox. So what we saw early in that, I'd say about the first 50% of that map, right? What we saw early was Kold was coming out really smart ultimate usage. They had a great kind of pattern they were going through, making sure they weren't sacking ultimates, actually having good economy use going through. And then we saw a pretty crucial point there where beat was dropped on Kold's side and the Coalescence came out at the same time. So stacking those support ultimates left them with no defenses, which did turn the tide. So it seems like that was the point at which Equinox was able to establish presence on the point. Once they got there, they did lose a couple of fights back and forth, but it looks like they were able to come out on the top on the end. So I'm really curious to see what Kold does with the more ultimate management, if that's something they're talking about.
Yeah, that definitely hindered them on that last attack. I mean, we saw the advantage they had, and they just, you know, they kept getting that pick early on, and they never really wanted to get the ult economy. They wanted to just get the fragging and get the point from just fragging alone.
So Apple Cheeks is able to get that first boot, knocks the Lucio off the bridge there. So Lucio was not a part of Kold's fight the entire time there, so it makes it very easy for Equinox to just clean up on this fight. So far, at least in the beginning of this, Apple Cheeks has been left completely uncontested. And as you can see, getting about 4 kills in that team fight, really carrying the team right now. I want to see how Kold actually responds to this. If they're going to go ahead and institute, more hit scan pressure, if they're going to have their own Pharah just try to 1v1 the other Pharah. It looks like that's happening right now. Pharmacy coming in from Kold's side. I really think that Kold needs to actually put very specific pressure onto this Pharah, because if you leave Apple, uncontested for this long, not only is Apple just a great DPS, but on Pharah, completely uncontested in the sky, that's going to be a huge problem for Kold every single push that they want to go. Some high-octane Pharah v Pharah gameplay, nobody dying on either side. Those mid-air rockets are pretty hard to hit. So it looks like this is just cleanup time for Equinox. I really don't like what I'm seeing from Kold here. What they do, you've already invested enough into that fight. That's right. You pull back, respawn, don't give any more ultimate charge to the other team. At this point, Equinox has, Lucio coming up, 80% already on his ultimate. He's going to have it for next fight. So they have 4 ultimates on Equinox's side versus Primal Rage coming in from Kold's side. So as you can see, getting that poke damage in can be good, but a lot of times it just feeds the enemy team those support ultimates that they need. All right, so Sub-Zero does come in as the Reaper, trying to punish Monkey, is able to get that punishment in. It looks like we got Beat Blade, one of my favorite combos. So Okami pulling out that blade, gets the beat from Glip. So essentially what you have is a Genji with Blade running around at 450, I believe it is, effective HP. It's very difficult to stop that. It's a very underused combination that I don't see as much as I would like to see. And it looks like the story of this match has been a lot of one-by-one, kind of, I don't want to call it feeding. I appreciate what's happening at this time. Obviously, it's overtime, so you have to go in one-by-one. But this is something that we saw pretty much throughout, Dancer. We saw, it seemed like, the team fight would be lost from Kold's perspective. And then they just didn't know. Maybe there was nobody in comm saying, hey, regroup, slow down, let's get back 6 before we push. But we saw these, extended periods of time, almost, 45 seconds to a minute of this clown car fiesta from Kold's side, just feeding ultimate after ultimate. They really need to slow down here and just decide, how do we win the next fight? What do we actually need to win this next fight? Slow down, give them 10% for free, right? You can let the other team have the point if while you're slowing down, you're thinking, how do we win that next fight?
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, completely. I think the problem that Kold Fusion had there was they saw that they had the advantage, but if you are on attack and you're not on defense, in King of the Hill, you are at a disadvantage even if you're a man up. Because the fact that you have to fight on point, you have to take all that time, all of that is percentage and objective time for the defending team. So even if you're one man down, if you're down the ultimates and if you're down your instant wipe potential, you're in pretty big trouble. And that's kind of what the problem was that we saw there. Every time someone died, they tried to get an exit frag, and then the exit frag led to them trying to do a little bit better. It was a big problem they had there. Completely, I agree with you there, Arg.
So it looks like we're going to be heading to King's Row. King's Row, for me, everybody knows it's a great Zarya map. I think it's a fantastic Reinhardt map, so I'm curious to see what we do here. Are we going to go with Rein Zarya? And then the question you have to ask is, if you expect the other team to go with Rein Zarya, because it's such a great map for that, maybe a Hanzo on attack, at least to start, what do you do to respond back to that? So, how do you beat a Reinhardt? Well, you either have more shield break, or you you know, hack that Reinhardt. Again, I'm still stuck on Sombra because I know she's going to be meta here. She's so strong. You know, you really have to think, how do we take out that Reinhardt?
Yeah, I mean, we know we're going to see the quad tank, and if we don't see the quad tank, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed. The thing with Sombra is, I personally don't know how much value she has against or with the quad tank. Just because typically a hack target is your focus target, but when you're running the quad tank, you have so much healing with the Moira, and you have so much peels with all 4 tanks. I think no matter who you hack, as long as you're grouped up, the hack just doesn't have that much value. So if you play the Sombra, you're really playing for the EMP potential, and that's a lot of pressure with that new EMP. No health packs give you all charge. You have to build that so quick. It's just so much pressure. I don't know if it's doable on King's Row against the quad tank, if that's what the plan is.
Well, certainly not if you're on defense. You know, if you're a defensive Sombra on a map like this, you know, hacking the enemy Reinhardt who's on attack coming into that choke, he actually does not care if he's hacked. You know, that's the way we used to play it, I think, back in like Season 1 when people didn't really know how to play the game. You know, you would stand and choke, you know, hold your shield up and hope that somebody on your team got a pick. That's still one way to do it, but Reinhardt's traditionally, when they're on this point, they just hit W, right? You establish your dominance on the point, and the entire time you're swinging. So even if somebody's in your way, like you mentioned with that Moira, she has her orb on you, and she has left click on you. You're getting, you know, somewhere around 140 HPS while you're holding left click into the team. You know, that's why Reinhardt can be so strong. So I definitely agree, defensive Sombra is not going to be seen here. It looks like on defense we do have more of a traditional kind of, I guess they're going for like a counter dive type strategy. So essentially what they want to see on defense here is they want the attacking team, which of course is Kold Fusion in the red, they want the attacking team to make the first mistake so they can punish whoever's left over, right? So if you're attacking here, you have your Zenyatta, which is Daddy at the moment. If you have your Zenyatta walking in and he gets even a little bit separated from the team, well, he's going to be the first one to dive because you've already committed your forces forward, leaving that Zenyatta behind. So I think that's what we're going to be seeing from Equinox here.
I'm really interested. You don't see the defensive dive that often here, and I think the Junkrat is really an answer to the quad tank or triple tank defense. So I think Kold Fusion might be taking off a little bit here. They're not going to expect this.
All right, so Blue Raid's not really sure where the enemy team is. But it looks like Okami did find the enemy team getting the first kill, but now we have even one DPS down for each team. It's a 5v5, and exactly what I expected to see. So as soon as they start pushing in, beautiful by Equinox there, having the Genji, having the Monkey, both diving that Zenyatta at the same time. He goes down in less than a second, and now it's just cleanup duty with no Zenyatta, no Discord, and no healing aura. I'm sorry, healing orb. It's going to be an easy defense here.
Yeah, you lose so much value when you lose that Zen, and I'm not sure what happened, if he got caught out or someone started hitting the tanks to distract, but yeah, that definitely was an easy dive decision. I love to see the coordinated target shot calling. Whoever the target caller is must have a demanding voice, because that was very clear who the target was of that dive.
Absolutely, and that's the thing about playing Zenyatta. You're already taking, you know, just like with every hero, you're taking, you know, a little bit of a penalty in one area, mobility, but for strength's another area, you know, plus 30% damage to the rest of your team with that Discord. So if you're going to be losing that mobility, you know that walking in, you better make sure you have somebody protecting your Zen for that counter dive. And unfortunately, that didn't happen for Daddy. It looks like he's going to be picked off again, but no, he gets the headshot on Apple Cheeks. Good night. Might not matter in the end because Equinox is winning the fight on point, although Daddy hitting that headshot on the attacking Tracer. I gotta tell you something, as a Zenyatta main myself, that made me feel very, very happy to see.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It brings the joy in all of the support mains to know that, hey, stay away from me, Tracer, I can peel for myself.
And now it looks like we've got Drop the Beat coming in from Lucio, of course, his sound barrier. That's a huge defensive ultimate here, so I'm not really sure what they're going to be able to do over from Kold Fusion side. I think they might want to try to open up with a big tire here, and yeah, it looks like they are going to open up with the tire. Gets jebaited by Apple Cheeks, who just casually sits behind the desk taking no damage. Now that's a feels bad for any Junkrat.
Yeah, you want that easy free pick. You don't even bait out any of Tracer's abilities. Just hugs that desk and gets a free safe.
Danny a little bit late with that trance. He is able to save everybody from the sword, but unfortunately, as soon as that trance ends, Applecheeks knows exactly where the place is, taking down the Zenyatta. Now it's again cleanup duty. So what we're seeing over and over again is Equinox is really, they're dictating the tempo of these fights, right? They're getting either the first pick or the first pressure, and then from there on out, it's just cleanup duty. So Kold Fusion needs to figure out, how do we take over the tempo of this fight? What are we going to do to get these guys on their heels? Because the entire time the defense has an advantage, it's very, very difficult to actually pick up anything on King's Row. All right, going for the high ground strategy. Applecheeks, again, I will never fault a Tracer for throwing that bomb there, but unfortunately cannot connect with the stick. So Haggis is trying to get some sort of momentum going with that Deadeye, does not get any value coming in. And again, here we're talking about the same thing over and over again. We've got an advantage coming in from Equinox, and then they snowball that advantage into a team wipe. Now, 12 seconds left on the clock. This is not going to leave a lot of time unless the D.Va can somehow stay alive here and touch point. Now, it doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to get to the point. So, Kold Fusion going down on a full hold there. Great job, Equinox, really holding the pace of that fight throughout.
I mean, if you told me, going into this, that defensive dive was going to win King's Row against a Zarya and a Ryan, I wouldn't believe you, because it just seems like so crazy, so strange. We haven't seen it in so long. But basically, you haven't seen dive played on this map since dive was meta back in Season 3. And even after that, we got a few changes to the supports. And after that, it didn't matter what the meta was. Basically, on this map, Ryan Zarya was necessary. But I'll tell you right now, the big thing that Equinox did, and you mentioned it here, Arg, they got the first pick, and then they snowballed. And if you do those two things repeatedly, you really just don't have a chance.
Well, and essentially you're always having like a 2-to-1 advantage over the attacking team as far as your ultimates are concerned, right? The more that you're snowballing the fight, yes, of course, they're going to get their ultimates, but by the time they get their ultimates, maybe they get their Junkrat ultimate, Riptire, you've already had 2 Tracer Pulse Bombs, right? So you know, just having that advantage, little bit of advantage, you know, brought up over time by winning these small encounters really makes it so you can just essentially feel like you're playing a solitaire, like the enemy team are just coming in and you're just doing the same thing over and over again. I do really like the decision to dive there, and maybe it's because, you know, that counter dive strategy hasn't been seen since Season 3. People forgot how to play against it. Typically the best way to play against that is you just never stop hitting W. If they dive your backline but you have a Lucio bringing you in faster than they can dive, or faster than they can catch up because they're using so many abilities to get to your backline, you just walk right past them and kill their healers. That's always been the strategy in dive. So let's see what happens coming in from Equinox. Or I'm sorry, it looks like the names may have been switched around a little bit here. Equinox is actually the team in red. Kold Fusion is the team in blue.
Yeah, I think with scrims, the mix-up here is, I mean, the offensive team always has to have the same name, and the defensive team always has to have the same name. So when you go back to lobby, it corrects itself out. But right now, when you reset the match, by the way, for those of you who have not played scrims before, you reset the match just so that the offensive round doesn't need to only take first point. They had a good hold, and now they want to practice their offense on this map as well. So you reset the match, and you get to play the whole map if you'd like.
Yeah, typically when it comes to scrims, you know, it is said a lot. It's not about winning; it's about getting better. That's why we like to try, if we're able to run through an entire map. Now, although that is true, it's about getting better, not so much about winning. You also would like to win.
You
right?
want to win.
I think we all have that competitive streak in us. So you want to be able to show that, you know, the training that you have has actually been leading to something. So Sub-Zero getting the first pick here, which is very easy to do as a Junkrat if you're just spamming choke, which Sub-Zero was at that moment. So it's going to be a 5v6. Actually, correct that. It's going to be a 4v6. Diabolic getting the kill on Haggis. Diabolic is actually just going ham right now, getting 2 kicks. So now, just as quickly as it all started with that first pick coming in from Kold Fusion side, Equinox has a huge advantage. Thank you very much for Diabolic creating all that space for his team, getting those 2 kills.
They almost turned it around. They couldn't do much, though. We see how much all charge the Junkrat can build just by spamming into the massive healing in this map. He already has the tire, although the rest of his team is pretty low on their ults.
So if you're Mata Mata right now, you have that Diva Bomb on the attack. How do you want to see it used? Do you want to see it just used for zoning purposes so your team can actually push in on top of that? Do you think he's going to be using for flank purposes, maybe get somebody sleeping in the back?
I personally, I mean, you're running the dive. You should use it to stay in your mech. The longer you're in the mech, the bigger the play is going to be.
A giant meteor strike coming in from Apple Cheeks. So Apple Cheeks getting it some working on that Doomfist there. Really big, especially considering that the enemy team, Kold Fusion's Crystal on Moira, had just used Coalescence. Now, here's the thing about Moira. She is very strong. She does have a lot of mobility, but when she's using Coalescence, she actually can't use any of her escape abilities. So using Shift to get out of the way, unfortunately for her, she knew what was happening and there was no way to avoid it.
Yeah, very smart play by Apple Cheeks there. Seeing that came out, even though they had the Genji Blade, knowing that Moira's ult would take away the value of Genji Blade, he used his ult to go in and kill the ineffective Moira as she was doing that.
Alright, so Sub-Zero is able to get a pick with the tire, paying for it with his life. Manama knew exactly where to go to find that Junkrat waiting in the back line. And Manamana does actually get a kill. That's actually huge because initially Equinox had lost their Lucio, but now with Kold Fusion losing their Lucio and losing even more on top of that, we went from, you know, what we just saw in the previous fight, a disadvantage into an advantage for Equinox, and then again, dictating the tempo. Look at how much pressure they're putting on right now. And I think Kold Fusion is making good decisions. They're trying to win these fights. They are putting themselves in positions to win these fights, but they're getting overwhelmed by just the aggression. I mean, look at Apple Cheeks paying for it with her life, so I'm not sure if that was exactly worth it, but you know, that's what we've been seeing from this Doomfist. You go in, you try to confirm that kill. If you can, you're a god, and every now and then you're going to die, and unfortunately that's what we saw here. Looks like finally we're going to see a stops at Snowball with a giant hammer coming in from Blue Rage. So a moment to catch their breath. Kold Fusion finally has stopped this snowball. Now, here's the next question, though. What happens next? How is Equinox going to respond? How are they going to initiate this next fight?
Well, it looks like we're going to come up on a pretty big ult economy here. 5 ults for each team, just about in the next few seconds.
And what I'd hate to see is 10 ults used in a 3-second period, but it looks like we do have a lot of ults coming in. We've got Coalescence coming in from both sides. Somehow Hag is staying alive long enough to get that 3K. So all in all, we saw, looks like 2 ultimates invested by Kold Fusion, and a lot more than that. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 ultimates were used by Equinox, and a lot more than that was used by Kold Fusion. So although they were able to hold the defense there, they actually have nothing lined up. No more ults, offensive or defensive, coming in from Kold Fusion's side. So they're going to be on their heels here, especially with Okami coming in with that Dragon Blade.
Yeah, the ult economy seems to be sort of the Achilles heel of this team. They use the Reinhardt Shatter to win one fight, which is amazing ult economy. You stabilize with one ult, but now it looks like that's the only thing they got coming up again, because they used the 5 to win the previous.
And we got Beat Blade coming in here. The Blue Rage is able to get a pretty fatty shatter off there, trying to put his entire team on his back, but they are dying all around him. We're actually close to an even game, but Applecheek's moving off of that Doomfist onto the Widowmaker, gets 2 headshot kills on 2 of the tanks. Applecheek's is doing so much work, completely uncontested Widow here. Nobody's able to mess with her on high ground. All right, it looks like we do have Haggis quickly switching onto the Widow, but he says, Applecheek says, no thank you, I am the dominant Widow here. This is my spot, you can go home. Applejack's still alive, getting another kill. Now, it looks like it's not going to help a lot right now. She does eventually fall, but Applejack's got something like 4 or 5 kills throughout that team fight. That was incredible Widow work, even when Haggis on the defending side went counter-pick Widow. You know, immediately within that, gets a headshot, says Haggis, you know, I'm the only Widow who's allowed to hold this area. Let's see what happens. So Applejack's getting again a headshot on Haggis. A lot of earth shatters from Blue Ray. He does get a little bit of damage in on that one, but he's not able to actually get any kills off of that one. So he is doing a lot of work. He is able to generate a lot of ultimate, but he's not getting any value from it on that one. And it's shown right here. Applejack's again looking to get another headshot kill here. Applejack's taking down Sub-Zero. Okami taking down the rest. And this is what I love to see. Again, Applejack's headshots on Haggis all day. Haggis, I highly recommend you switch. This is not working out, my friend. So Beat Blade again coming in. So it looks like Equinox knows what's up with this Beat Blade combo, because every single time that they're able to pull it out, Okami's able to live so long with that extra insurance policy coming in from the sound barrier from Lucio, able to get those definitive kills without taking it really any damage himself. Still at 200 HP this entire fight here. Player of the match, can you say it's anybody other than Applejack's?
It would be hard to, and I would not be able to form an argument for that arc. That Widow duel, I mean, he gets contested, he kills the Widow, and then right away starts going for those picks. He knows he's free, he knows he has, even if his team's down, he knows whatever, he can get the exit frags, because once that Widow is dead, it's completely free.
So that's going to be it for King's Row there. Remember, we did see both teams attack. Of course, Equinox was able to full hold on defense, and they were able to push it all the way to the end on offense. And now it looks like we're just waiting to see what the next map is going to be. I'd be very curious to see if we're going to be seeing some sort of control point here. You know, I feel like these teams are very brawly. I think Kold might be doing a little bit better if they're able to get off that payload and not worry about that first fight, but just worry about winning these 1v1s. It seems like, you know, if overall you're fighting a team who's getting those first picks on you, your first question should be, all right, how do I one-shot kill somebody, right? Or how do I just do better in my 1v1s? Because the moment you're able to get that first pick, at the very least, it slows this Equinox machine down to where they can't just walk all over you.
See, I was going to agree with you, Arg, but I was going to present another alternative. It does seem like they've been losing a lot of the 1v1s or losing a lot of the duels. You see the squad comps pulling out, which means that the team is dividing into two sort of squads where each one will take a healer, a tank, and a DPS. That's been going on a lot where they get separated. I think, you know, the best thing you can do here, Equinox is playing so well. They're always winning the duels, always winning the squads. Maybe just try and keep the fights to a fair 6v6. We saw at the beginning of King's Row, they got the pick there, they did a 6v5, and instead of walking in and using that advantage, they allowed Equinox to dictate the pace of the game, which is just a big problem. You can't do that on defense. Probably biggest mistake a defensive team can make is allowing the attackers to dictate the pace of the game, and that's just kind of what's been happening here. So I'm hoping that either they pick a comp that's better at sitting back and punishes the dive more, or they start to go a little bit more aggressive.
And it looks like we will get a chance to see something very similar to what we did see on King's Row. We're on another assault escort mission, this of course being Hollywood. So attackers are going to have to take over on point A. They're going to be pushing their payload all the way to the end. So, you know, very curious to see if we see anything different, if we have a whole different attempt here.
Blue Rage doing the cankle exercises here. Got to make sure your ankles are strong enough to hold that Rhine armor up.
right, so our defense is going to be really well set here. It looks like we got Mercy, Reinhardt, like that combo. Of course, Moira is there to keep everybody alive. Roadhog, and then Sub-Zero back on that Junkrat. And of course, Haggis on the McCree. On attack, we have Okami staying on that Genji, which I do like to see, especially with the Winston Tracer. We've seen that Equinox has been very, very confident in their diving capabilities. So let's see if that stays. And of course, we do see Diabolic and the Diva, which is Matamata, purchasing a lot of space on high ground there. Unfortunately for Diabolic, he does fall down and he gets hooked by the Roadhog. So Hogfather, the Roadhog on the defensive side, doing a lot of work trying to keep this defense alive, getting another hook there. So this is going to be a dead push coming in from Equinox. They need to slow down here. This is the first resistance, this first strong resistance they've seen from Kold Fusion so far.
It's like I said, Arg, you see they picked the Hog. Hog is one of the biggest punishers for dive. He keeps hitting these hooks over and over because they don't have a Reinhardt to hide behind. You know, Diva can't do anything about a hook if she's the target. And most of the time she has a shift off cooldown because they're sitting far enough back that she won't be able to stop it.
All right, so Sub-Zero using his tire does get a kill there. Now, I know it's only one kill, right? But that tire basically just bought him about 25 seconds, right? His team a free 25 seconds of defense because they have to wait for the Zenyatta to actually respawn. Then they have to wait for that slow Zenyatta to make it all the way back up to choke. But it looks like they're going to be going in without the Zenyatta. Flashbang coming in from Haggis does get the kill onto Glib. Unable to get any sort of value with that high noon there because Daddy with the Coalescence on defense, absolutely stopping everybody right now. So it looks like, again, we're going to have another hold here. I think I like what I'm seeing from Kold Fusion here. A lot more focused on stopping power, right? They have that Junkrat. They have, like you mentioned, the Roadhog, who's doing so much work right now. But even the McCree is stopping power. We saw with that flashbang headshot on the Tracer.
Yeah, they're really slowing down. They're trying to focus on breaking Equinox's momentum, which is, I think it's a good goal. It's a good way to go about this because we've been seeing Equinox dictate the pace. We've been seeing them go in hard, go in fast, and they seem unstoppable. So this is a good way to do it. You know, you pick the Hog, you pick the McCree, and you try and help your back line out a little bit more rather than trying to destroy their supports first in the fight.
All right, so Okami does have his blade here. Dragon Blade, of course, coming in from Equinox's sides, hoping to get a little bit of value there, but Sub-Zero getting in with the bomb first does kill Okami. Okami's not able to blade today. The bomb also taking out Matamata from his suit, so it looks like it's going to be another easy hold from Kold Fusion here. So this is a much different Kold Fusion than what we saw before. Yes, I think it's the hero swapping that they have here, which we were just talking about, but I really think it's that first fight, that initial fight where they had advantage, got the kill. It gave everybody a moment to just, you know, stop, breathe, relax, remember that they're good at this game. That's why they're here, and then they were able to get their confidence back for this, you know, almost 5-minute hold here. Now, of course, never discount last fight. We have 40 seconds left, plenty of time for Equinox to actually put together a fight here, but they are going to have to get value with that Dragon Blade. Dragon Blade taken out instantly from Haggis with the high noon. Kills going back and forth, though. It looks like we have an even fight going in here. This is actually going to be a crazy final fight. It's essentially, though, a little bit more in the attacker's advantage because, of course, they do have that respawn advantage. But not when you have Haggis on the field. He's got a much bigger advantage of being able to shoot everybody as they're walking in. Now, of course, Crystal going for that, you know, Valkyrie with Mercy. That's pretty much going to be it. She's getting that, you know, AoE healing, AoE damage boost for 15 seconds solid. It's very difficult to have this ragtag kind of fight come in and deal with that Valkyrie. Okami is able to find his target on the Zenyatta in the back. Blue Rage doing as much as he can to keep his team alive. On point, and Sub-Zero getting a 4K to complete the defense on the point here. That was absolutely insane. Biggest tire of his life, Dancer.
That tire was massive. I can't imagine how heart-wrenching that is to finally get momentum in your attack. You have a bit of space on point. You know, the Mercy popped Valk early, and they did such a good job of kiting it. They waited that last 2 seconds and then touch point as the Valk ran out. It was looking pretty good for that final last-minute ditch effort from Equinox. But I'll tell you, that feels bad, man. You finally have some space, you finally have somewhere to work with, and then that tire comes in and just ruins your day.
Now, I don't want to take anything away from Sub-Zero because, of course, that 4K tire is actually insane, but I do want to throw a little bit of credit over to Haggis, who was on the McCree. You know, being on defense there, when you're having those team fights that are going back and forth, that's really bad for you because your spawn, the defender spawn, is so far away, especially if you die as, let's say, a McCree, right? It takes a very long time to get back into the fray. But having Haggis on the point actually, you know, enabled the rest of the team to hold on to that. You know, getting those shots, getting those kills, staying alive, most importantly. And then, of course, the Mercy coming in with Valkyrie. You know, huge hold by Haggis. I think they have the advantage. But, of course, 4K tire absolutely seals the deal.
And this is Haggis's moment of redemption here. He's picking the Widow. I want to see him get those initiating picks. That'd be big for me. I mean, after that last fight on King's Row where Apple Cheeks was just so dominant, I want Haggis to prove his worth to us, and I think this is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely keep your eye on Haggis on this point. Please don't bait me and swap off of Widow because we have Apple Cheeks currently on the Zenyatta on the defensive side of things. So let's see what sort of fireworks we can expect. All right, so we did not get baited. Haggis taking over, not seeing anybody main. Looks like they may be holding Cafe.
And this is going to be big without any shields. Basically, you dive the Widow or you're giving her free shots.
All right, so Winston and D.Va currently trying to decide who they're going to be diving. Looks like the Winston does choose the Widow in the back, does not get the kill. I don't see D.Va with him. Diabolic, though, is able to left-click his way to glory, getting Daddy, of course, the Moira, dead. So it looks like that actually might be enough to stop, because if your team has a Moira, the other team's Moira is dead. I'm not really sure how you win that fight. I'm not even sure if you can win that fight with the amount of heals that Moira can put out. Yeah, so it's cleanup duty, and very quickly, Daddy switches off of that Moira and onto an Ana. I wonder what the thought process here. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just curious what the thought process is. Are they attempting to slow down a little bit here? Are they going to be taking over a choke? Because you know the Ana does not have that kind of movement ability like the Moira has.
Yeah, it looks like they're going with the slow-moving comp. I mean, Reaper Ana is a deadly combo. They switched onto the Reaper as well. So we might see a little bit of anti-nading on the tanks and then Reaper cleanup. Or we might actually see the Beyblade come back into motion.
Beyblade, of course, if you don't know, is the nano boost on the Reaper during his Death Blossom, which is, again, one of those ones that's been lost to time, but is one of my favorites. I think there might have been a little bit of an issue there. It looked like Crystal might have been AFK. I'm not sure if there was a problem with the connection, or maybe didn't see the entire team diving down, but I didn't see a lot of movement there. We might have a problem with somebody's computer. Oh, maybe not. It looks like Crystal's back into the fray, so it looks like we got that issue solved. And now at this point, huge defense coming in here from Quasar. So not to be taken, you know, or not to be pushed over too easily as Quasar. They did get full held on this point, but it looks like they're doing a really great job at defending themselves. They're currently sitting on 5 ultimates here. Now, what we've been seeing from Quasar that we like so far is, you know, really good confidence on using their ultimate economy, right? Not blowing everything in one fight. So this is going to be big to see what defensively does Quasar actually invest into this fight in order to hold.
Yeah, I mean, if you blow too many ults here, you're going to be in trouble, because Reaper, I mean, we haven't been building the space to build that ult, but if the Reaper ult does come out eventually, you're going to be in trouble.
Not able to get any kills, was able to do a good deal of damage to the Moira, to Munchkin, but unfortunately no kills coming in for Sub-Zero except, you know, of course, to killing himself. Q to respawn type situation there, so I'm not sure if there's going to be a good hold here. Applecheeks is completely free, 200 HP on top of Cafe alone, if I might add. These Discord shots are just doing wreaking absolute havoc onto Kold Fusion, so I'm not saying that, you know, this slow-moving Reinhardt Reaper Ana combo is necessarily a bad decision, but what I would like to see is, if they're going to be walking in slow, 1, we've got to see them create some space on point, but 2, even going underneath Cafe and getting rid of Applecheeks on high ground. Because you just leave somebody on high ground, you have nobody who can actually get vertical. I'm not really sure how you're planning to win that fight.
I think you're maybe hoping for the hook, or you want to LOS him. I mean, the Discord's big, and basically, if you're not contesting him, you're guaranteeing that until the last man is dead, they will have that Discord on someone.
And everything we've seen from Equinox has been very, very good target priority, right? They're all looking at the same person, so having everybody on that Discord is going to be a big deal. Munchchain's coming in, Munchchain's coming in with the Coalescence is not going to get any value because Haggis finally has that Reaper ult. Death Blossom coming and doing a lot of damage to the D.Va mech. Haggis getting the kill on the D.Va as well as the Moira. This might be the first attack attempt that we've seen actually succeed on point A. Kills coming in back and forth. Okami is able to get some value with the Attack Visor, getting 2. Sub-Zero says no thank you, coming in with the tire of his own. Daddy is taken down. That's actually huge there, so we're not going to have an Ana. That could be enough to swing this fight. Mercy finally going down as well, so there are no heals on the point. Let's see if Kold Fusion is able to actually get the W here. Throwing absolutely everything they can. This is still a fight. We're still in a contested point. Kills going back and forth. I keep seeing, now it actually looks like we're seeing a little bit more coming in from Kold Fusion, but then again, Mana says no thank you, getting the Reaper out. Kold Fusion again coming back. Is this gonna be it? That is it. What an insane round there, especially at the end. So what we saw from both sides was really, really strong defenses, but that final fight, Dancer, that felt to me like a 15-minute contested overtime final fight.
Yeah, it had to have at least been more than a minute, which I mean, you're playing 4 minutes per side, so you're basically extending the length of the game by a quarter in overtime. Massive incredible final fight. And you saw the focus fire on the healers. They wanted to kill the sustain. It was healers, tanks, DPS. I mean, anything that was on the point, they tried to kill it. What a game. That was just, that's what we like to see.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy with what I saw from Kold Fusion there. So a few key decisions that I saw them make. So yes, there were some changes in the hero selection. But what I really, really like that I saw is they attempted to control the pace of the fight. They attempted to actually establish themselves as a dominant defense, which they did on Hollywood. And then I also really like to see, it just feels like they're a little bit less sporadic. They're not all out there on their own. They're not taking these silly fights. They are slowing down. They are trying to get to that 6v6 team fight instead of, to put it impolitely, feeding their brains out, 2-3 people at a time. So that's great to see from Kold Fusion. They're making a lot of good decisions.
And it paid off because they got the win on that one. That's what you like to see. Although at the end there, I can't say I'm a little bit disappointed we saw the Roadhog Nano instead of the Beyblade. I got pretty excited. I think maybe that's what the intent was. And we missed it when maybe Anna was trying to hit that Nano and something happened. She missed, or Hog got his fat body in the way. I really wanted to see that Nano Reaper, because you can do that. Nano Reaper will do enough damage to negate a trance and basically pick anything that's LOS'd of it.
Yeah, it would have been great to see, and I'm guessing that would have been the direction that Nano was going, because, typically with a Hog, there's not a lot, there's almost no value in nanoing your Hog. Think about what can he do. Can you help him get a hook combo on a tank better? Yeah, absolutely. He'll be able to do more damage, but once he pops that ultimate, he's going to be pumping out a lot of damage, but he's also pushing everybody else farther away from him with the knockback. Now, you could, of course, combo maybe with grab, so the entire enemy team is standing still while you do that, but now you've invested 3 ults, so there's never really a great time to nano your Hog.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I've seen the nano Hog into Orisa halt work before, because even though that halt is short, it's enough damage and enough pull to get the combo off quickly. But you're definitely going to see more value out of the Reaper. And I'm sure that was the intent there. Maybe a bad call was made, or, the Nano can also be used as a defensive ult if, because we saw the Hog walk out there first onto point, and then he pulled the whole Hog out. So maybe it was kind of an Ana panic move where he saw he was taking damage, throw the Nano on him, he takes that, I think it's 30% less damage, and he continues to sort of buy space on the point.
So of course, Cold Fusion on defense, holding in a very familiar spot on top of Big Earls, and Equinox is on the offense. Looks like they're going to be running the Ana Zen combo. I do like to see that, but unfortunately, I don't like to see the Genji going down immediately to the Junkrat. Haggis going in, trying to get some value, some damage in there. I'm not really sure if that was the best. He almost got picked off. Actually, it looks like he did get picked off in the end. So, you know, a little bit of a miscalculation from the Reaper on Cold Fusion side.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to get that poke damage as Reaper if your team's not going to drop off of Earls, because you get that shift, you get around the corner, but hey, you're still on the low ground with the offensive team.
I'm not sure that I want to continue to see a Reaper. I would have really liked to see a switch here, only because I know how much, you know, value Reaper can be, especially when dealing with the tanks. But you know, this is such a wide open area of the map. If we're going to be going into Streets phase here, it's very difficult to get somebody, you know, cornered into a spot that you need them as Reaper. Able to get a little bit of a value there, getting Diabolic out of the fight, and that might be enough to turn it here with no Winston, no Ana. But there is a Zenyatta ultimate, so Munch Chain's getting some value there. It looks like Okami's going to be getting in, cleaning up with the rest of the kills. Dragonblade doesn't get too much value, but he is going to be able to take out the Zenyatta here. Or not! Daddy's going to get a huge right click, taking out Okami right in the head.
You gave him the caster's curse there, Arg. You said that it was guaranteed, and it looks like God had different plans.
Unlucky. Diabolic now the giant Mega Raging Ape with the Nano Boost and Primal Rage going in there, trying to get some more value here. So Diabolic is able to get a few kills. It looks like this is going to be turning into Equinox's favor. This attack should succeed here.
And I think Ana's so hard to play on almost every map, but on this map you have such like a bowl of like an environment where, you know, there's high ground on either side. There's just so many safe places for you to hide and for you to be, and especially when your enemies aren't running dive, you can get a lot of value out of those anti and a lot of that value out of the sleep dart there.
Absolutely, especially if you have somebody like you know, Apple on your Ana. That's huge. Sub-Zero actually going down quickly on this fight, and that's a bit of a shame. I really like Sub-Zero's tires so far. Not only just getting a lot of kills out of the tires, but a lot of really good zoning tires as well, causing the enemy to run into separate locations. But Blue Rage actually coming in with a giant hammer, I guess we can call it. I don't know if it was a good hammer there, because your team has already lost that fight. Even if you get 4 people, let's say, in the cone of that hammer down, are you going to kill all 4? Because if you don't, you're going to be dying there. So now your team no longer has that hammer down that maybe could have turned this this upcoming fight for you.
Yeah, I think the staggers were coming in so late, and they never had a chance to actually stagger anyone on cart. So the hope was maybe to get a turnaround there, but I think he knew their situation, which was no one was on cart. It was moving for free. And there's not even a chance of you getting a second fight on point 2 if you don't use your ult at that point.
So Haggis, who we did see do some work on the Widow before, is still on this Reaper here. I'm really hopeful for a giant Death Blossom because, you know, I've been doing a lot of work with Reaper without that. So if you're going to be staying as Reaper, that's fine, but you better be able to get some value out of it. And here we go with the Death Blossom, but not able to get any value because, of course, Munch Chains knew that was coming, had the Zenyatta, the Transcendence available, no value gotten. Now it looks like Okami getting those couple of kills puts Equinox in a great position to win this fight. Diabolic nanoed again, and now he's going to be able to take out the Reaper. So now it looks like Reaper is dying to Reaper, to the very hero that Reaper is there to counter. So hopefully we'll be able to see some switch here. I'd even like anything like a Mei, just something to slow down this game because you are getting absolutely steamrolled at this point. Daddy trying to do as much work as possible on that Zenyatta, down to 60 health, is able to get healed up. So it looks like we do have a kill coming in for Reaper on Okami. That's actually huge because Okami's been doing so much work as that Genji, been putting a lot of pressure, been making sure that Blue Rage actually has to stop and and try to get rid of that Genji that's in the face because it's killing your entire team. Hammer down coming in a little bit late on that one, not able to get any value. No value on the hammer down, but I actually don't think that's going to be the biggest deal because it looks like they're able to still maintain defense here. This is going to have to be a full reset for Equinox. And there's nothing I love more than seeing an Ana in the kill feed. Looks like Apple Cheeks is able to get that kill onto Haggis, who is the Reaper. Unfortunately, though, happening at a time where it doesn't really matter because by the time they initiate this team fight, that Reaper's going to be back. A pretty fatty nade coming in there from Apple Cheeks, gets a nut. So it looks like they're a huge fan of this Winston Nano combo. It does do a very, significant amount of damage if you can get a few people in your cone. Okami has the blade here, just trying to think about when and where to use it. Looks like it's coming out right now, going for the Zenyatta first, getting the kill. That's a good problem to have as a Genji if you only get one kill. If the rest of your team is able to kill every single other member of the enemy team, you're okay with an NA blade.
Yeah, you can't be upset when the problem is there's not enough people to kill. That's a good problem to have in a game of Overwatch.
Poor Crystal, trying to do as much work as possible, is able to get the full Coalescence value, but doesn't look like there's a lot of teammates there to heal. So again, Coalescence is going to be healing your team for 140 for everybody that you hit, but it's only going to be doing about 70 damage. So yes, you can use it to kind of confirm a kill at the end, but you really want to be using that on your own allies more so than the enemy team. Haggis doing as much work as possible. It's very difficult to actually kill a diva as Reaper. I mean, she's got the 2 seconds of defense matrix, but even if she realizes that she's going to start losing that fight, she's out of defense matrix, she can just shift away from you, and you have no way to stop that. So, not really the best place to be playing your Reaper into that diva.
I'll tell you the big problem I have with that comp arc. You have the Reaper, who needs tons of space and close quarter fights to win. And you're running him with the Reinhardt, which it works, but only if you're running into a tank heavy comp. Otherwise, I mean, it's so easy for almost every character. Like you said, Diva hits shift, she's gone. It's bad to be Reaper. Same thing with the
Genji.
Winston. Yeah, with the Genji too. And I mean, Ana was hitting those sleep darts over and over, so it feels like almost every character presses shift to make a Reaper not do anything. And so maybe I wanted to see the swap to Hitscan. Hitscan I think would have been nice there. Hitscan can keep constant pressure on the tanks. You'll see the Winston and the Diva, you're forcing Diva to use Matrix at a distance. You're forcing Winston to use his bubble or take some health damage at a distance. And you have that shield to protect you. When you're running with the Reaper, it felt like they were trying to force the Reaper, which meant the Reaper always had to go on these crazy flanks. And when you're going on flanks to get kills, and every single character can just press shift to avoid you or to nullify you, it feels like it's just so forced.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things that we've seen is Sub-Zero is actually a very, very strong DPS. So I do trust the decision making coming in. I would just like to see either the team completely embrace it or completely abandon it. So taking a look now, we have a defense coming in from Equinox. They're running pretty much what we've seen all night. A little bit of an alteration here. We have Okami on the Genji, which of course we love to see. We've got 2 diving tanks. Of course, we've got that Tracer. We've got Much Change on Zen, and it looks like we have Apple Cheeks. Apple Cheeks actually pretty fantastic. We've been seeing on DPS. We saw do a lot of work on that Widow, now on the Ana. So it looks like we've got another kind of counter dive type situation, which Equinox seems to love to run because at least tonight we've been seeing a lot of success. This is a wonderful position for the Ana to be down the bridge here. It's very difficult for anybody to get to you, and if they do get to you, they have to use all of their abilities, all their movement abilities to get to you. Okami actually making it out of that fight with 2 health there. Unfortunately, nobody was there to melee him. Diabolic also going down too, so now it looks like we're starting to see a little bit of a swing here. But again, every single time that I think it looks like, Cold Fusion is getting the best of a fight, just the raw DPS talent here that's coming in from Equinox. They're able to, even when they're at a disadvantage, get some of those frags, get some of those kills. That takes what essentially was a guaranteed loss fight into, you know, a real match again, a real equal fight. You know, getting down to that 3v3 is way better than a 5v3 against you.
Yeah, it looks like the focus fire is so good that even when Equinox is down a few people, they're still focusing the same person, and it's enough damage to get those picks, get those frags, and try and even out a lost fight. Or what we would think in solo queue is a lost fight.
So that's actually a pretty big pick there. Daddy getting the kill onto the enemy Winston, but of course Blue Rage on Cold Fusion going down as well. So it's a 5v5, no Winston on either side. I do like seeing Sub-Zero already with Whole Hog on this Roadhog here. A little bit odd that we're seeing Sub-Zero on Roadhog and not Hogfather on Roadhog, but you know, I'll take what I can get. Looks like we have Whole Hog coming through. Not getting a whole lot of kills in the kill feed, but we do have a pretty decisive fight here coming in the way of Cold Fusion. Uh, 2000 ping coming in for Sub-Zero. That's not great to see.
Now, 2000 ping is okay maybe if you're a sim main, but if you're playing on the other hero, you want to see a lower ping.
All right, looks like the game's starting again here. So as we mentioned before that pause, things were pretty handily in the attacking position for Cold Fusion. I got a valiant last-ditch effort here on the point coming in from Equinox. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to get any kills here. Yeah, we're just in cleanup duty, although we are getting a lot of ultimates invested from Cold Fusion, so maybe that was the entire point of pushing so hard there towards the end, trying to get Cold Fusion to use some ultimates, because, you know, I don't know if they're consciously thinking about this on Equinox's side. I hope they are, but you know, the only reason that Cold Fusion is really losing any of these fights is due to poor ult management. So maybe that's what those final death rattles coming in from Equinox was, just trying to get Cold Fusion to use more ultimates.
I mean, the trade of Genji Blade for Zenyatta ult is, it's pretty good in favor of the Genji. I mean, you only have that one, or I guess when you're running the Lucio Zen, you got 2 support ults, but you got tons of ways to kill the enemy. So getting those ults out of the way, not a big deal at all. And you build up the blade pretty fast too, so you can always try again.
All right, so it looks like this might actually be the turning point. Blue, of course, getting slept there from across the map. That's a shame. That's never fun. But this is going to be the turning point in the fight here. It looks like Equinox is going to be able to, you know, confidently take over back on defense here. So slow this train down. A big pulse bomb coming in, killing the Genji. Not getting a lot of follow-up after it. I mean, it looks like D.Va's out of suit, but I don't think they're going to be able to take this fight. I think it would actually be a bad decision to walk in on this. I'm not here to... Thank goodness they don't listen to me. They actually were able to get that fight, which was slightly in their disadvantage. Cold Fusion was. They were able to get in, get the Ana, who unfortunately missed her nade, so she wasn't able to stay alive there for as long as she would have liked. And so now it looks like it's going to be a full team wipe, or at the very least, a mostly team wipe coming in from Cold Fusion. They do own the point right now. Let's see if Equinox is able to get some sort of fight left over for this final touch before they cap the point. Ooh, a day late and $1 short, not able to actually get anybody on point to be able to stop the cap there. So it looks like some ultimates were invested, but all for naught. So Akami feeling very confident, has Blade coming up here. We might actually see a Blade Trans combo. That's not typically what you would expect to see, but you know, it looks like Okami just needs a little bit of space to room here. Or, I'm sorry, a little bit of space to work here. A little bit more room coming in. Hopefully the tanks are going to be able to establish that. Yeah, this fight going completely the way of Equinox, so it looks like they're just going to be able to, you know, maybe get this final kill on the Tracer. No, they're going to let her go because they already know they've won the fight, so there's no reason to chase them all the way back to their spawn, especially when you know that there's a couple of tanks back there waiting for you. Not really sure if I agree with that dive in from Blue Rage there. Blue Rage actually dropping the shield first and then diving into a Junkrat. Didn't really turn out that great because now it looks like, again, we're getting another full hold here from Equinox. So they're feeling very confident on this part. There's plenty of time left. We've got 1:45 seconds left on the clock. So it looks like what really needs to happen from Kold Fusion is for them to stop and think about, you know, how do we get a pick? How do we win this next team fight? You know, how do we get a foothold into this room? Because they keep stopping us the moment we walk in.
And that whole fight felt like one long stagger. You see the entire team got a chance to build their ults. We got 6 ults on the side of Equinox.
We got Coalescence coming in. We aren't able to get too much value. It looks like we got trades, like we've been seeing for a lot of these team fights coming in both sides, but now it actually looks like Kold Fusion has a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here. They are ahead on kills. They do have a little bit of a respawn advantage, so it might be the attacking team actually able to turning this around. But again, as I say that, there's something going on with Equinox where it's almost like they would prefer to be at a disadvantage. Every single time we've seen them in a 5v6 or a 4v6, it's giving one of their DPS that maybe that moment to clutch, right? I think they like that feeling because every single time we've seen that, you know, 5v6, 4v6, they're able to turn it around and get another full hold.
It feels like maybe Kold Fusion is trying to, they're trying to capitalize on the man advantage, but they lose sight of their targets every time they come in. So they come in, they kill that one target, and then they're not doing a good follow-up afterwards of killing whoever else needs to be targeted after that, and they're not focusing as a team. So that's what I want to see.
Again, another 4v6, so let's see if they can actually get an improvement on this one. So again, still fighting a 4v6, and now the question is, what are they saying in comms? Who are we focusing? Why is our Reinhardt all the way in their backline? These are the questions that need to be asked. Alright, so not able to get a lot of value out of that tire. Sub-Zero is going down, and again, here's what we're seeing. Okami's actually switched onto that McCree and is able to do a lot of work here. So let's see if just that switch on pure frag potential to get the enemy team off the payload is going to be good enough to cap this point. Really do like what I'm seeing from Crystal here, getting a lot of heals there. Did not expect to step onto a trap. Is taken out. Looks like we got a little bit of a C9 type situation there. There wasn't a lot of kills coming in, but I think it just all at once, everybody stepped off the point. Overtime ticked down very quickly. Looks like that was a well fought, but ultimately lost game by Kold Fusion. Yeah, so much damage coming in from Diabolic with that nano boost, and then right towards the end of the nano boost, popping the Primal Rage to stay alive and confirm those final kills. There's one more kill after that Reaper one that we didn't see. Now, I've been in that situation as a healer main, so your team is in the right spot. So let's say, for example, you're on Kold Fusion. You're in the right spot. You've gotten the first pick. You're enabling your tanks to stay alive. You're enabling your DPS to get picks, and then no more picks are coming in. It's a very, very difficult feeling for a healer. You know, at that point, you've made all the right decisions, but you're just waiting for that next headshot to come in from your side. And unfortunately, a little bit of a lost direction there from Kold Fusion because, like you mentioned, Dancer, they did a great job getting to where they were supposed to be. And then what happens next? That was the question that really never got answered.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Usually something like that means there's some sort of discrepancy in the comms, I'm not sure if maybe target or shot calling was a little bit different, or something's going on tonight, but it feels like maybe there's just a little bit of an error on that on that part of it, where they get in, the dive is coordinated, the dive is good, but they kind of lose their heads as the mid fight carries on, and we're not seeing that on Equinox's side. We see, like, even if 2 or 3 of them get picked, the target's calling is still on point. The call for peels and heals are still on point, where it doesn't matter who's in trouble. They're so good at getting that person out of trouble, or whoever's low, they're so good at following up on it, where the man advantage almost starts to mend together. So what I want to see is Kold Fusion, keep calm, keep collected, and don't stop calling those targets. Don't stop calling everything you can. As long as your team is together and coordinated, those fights are pretty clean, and they're easy to clean up.
And absolutely, and one of the things that we actually saw from Equinox's side, where they had some missteps, was, if you're relying on that type of situation where you rely on your DPS to be able to frag out in the middle of a fight, so you're essentially hedging your bets. It's like having a Hanzo on your team, right? If he hits those shots, he's a god, but if he doesn't hit those shots, he's a feeder, right? So the moment that anybody on Equinox actually misses their shots, Kold Fusion is probably able to take over a lot of those fights. But the DPS coming in from Equinox's side was just so strong that they weren't missing those shots. It was akin to having that Hanzo who's on fire. And once you have that Hanzo who's on fire, if you're walking into that to a defensive Hanzo who's hitting every single shot, good luck. I don't know what else to say to you, because he's honed in like that. So now what we need to see is, can Equinox keep that up, right? Can they maintain that kind of that play style of not worrying if you lose a pick because you have that good DPS? Or is Kold Fusion going to be a lot more aggressive? Not a little bit more aggressive. I want Kold Fusion, especially if they're on the attack here, I want them to break the W key. I want them to not stop hitting W until they hit the back wall of the map. Because I think just the pure aggression coming in is going to really displace Equinox's DPS, not give them a lot of good sightlines, and really probably scare the hell out of the healers.
Yeah, that kind of pressure is really hard to deal with, because you're going to lose some value on your team when you have to either pull a DPS off to damage a tank in your backline, or you're pulling your tanks off to peel. You're losing value in your dive when you have some sort of wrecking forces, some sort of pressure on your backline. So I'm going to agree with you there, Arg. If we see a little bit more pressure on Equinox's backline, we don't know how well their DPS is going to do, or how much that Hanzo is going to stay on fire. It's going to be pretty difficult when you're going to have to peel off your tanks and less space is created, or you're going to have to peel off your DPS, and now they're wasting their time dealing with a tank rather than, trying to pick a support.
Or even something as simple as, if you're, let's say, the soldier who's on high ground, we're going to Horizon Lunar Colony, right? So if you're the soldier who's on high ground and the team just runs past you, you still have to take, 2 to 5 seconds to actually reposition yourself into a new high ground position, or choose to jump down. And within that 2 to 5 seconds, the attacking team has killed your team. It doesn't really matter that, you still had an advantage by being high ground. You had so much time wasted getting to that new position, getting to that reposition to actually establish any sort of dominance, that you're actually irrelevant at that point. So yeah, very curious to see what we do on Horizon Lunar Colony. I think Lucio on both sides is probably going to be a must, at the very least on the attacking side.
Yeah, certainly on the attacking side, especially point one. I said it on King's Row. I wanted to see the quad tank or the triple tank. I'm going to be surprised if I don't see her on Lunar. Almost every Overwatch League team runs the quad tank here, because the Moira heals are just so strong. You boost your whole team in. Moira heals them in one fight, and in the same fight she's going to pop her out. That's what the meta's been, but these teams have no regard for meta. They're just here, they're doing what they want, and their DPS are popping off, so it doesn't really matter.
And unlike most, I'm actually, I'll tell you why I'm a fan of Horizon Lunar Colony, and then I'll tell you why I agree with everybody else who says it sucks. So here's why I like Horizon Lunar Colony. I like it because it's let's look at point 2. That's where most people say it sucks, right? I like it because it really forces you to be on your toes as an attacking team. The defensive team has such an advantage on the second point, right? Because their spawn is right there, that you really have to, be on your best behavior, get those kills as quickly as possible. The reason a lot of people don't like it is because, it's a very high skill cap. I'll say it. It's hard mode when you're attacking. But don't we all want to play on hard mode? Shouldn't we actually hope to get to that point where we can easily win point B Horizon as the attacker? Now here's the part that I really like. Point A is entirely different, right? Point B is really defender friendly. Point A is incredibly attacker friendly. The positioning is great for defense, but the respawn advantage is absolutely incredible. If you have ever been a Roadhog who dies point A on defense, you know how long it takes to get back there all the way from the defending spawn. So that's why I like this map. I feel like it requires a big shift in between points. It's almost like having two different maps entirely, just the way that you approach them. But I certainly can appreciate why people don't like it, with defense, because it is so stacked. But again, I think we need to elevate our level of play.
Yeah, I mean, I have the uncommon opinion of, I do like 2CP. I don't think it's because, it is that hard mode. I don't think that's the reason why. I just like the idea of, like, 2 good fights. All you need to win a 2CP map is 2 good fights.
Right.
And so on the attack, I find that, if you have an uncoordinated team in solo queue, I can see why you would not like 2CP. It's not fun to see your Genji go in, Blade, yell at you because you got 2 picks, but it doesn't matter because half your team's already dead, and a stagger fight has no meaning in 2CP. But I do like when, you get that amazing Zarya and you get that combo. One grab can win the point. And I've seen it before where, I'm the Zarya, I pick it on first point of Horizon Lunar Colony. We go in, we win the fight without any ults. No one has any ults. I built my grab, and then we go to second point. I get a 6-man grab, and the game's over in less than a minute. You can't do that on any other map. You can't win payload in less than a minute. And that's sort of the reason I like it. You don't see it very often, but
and especially in that case, that's why it really comes down to, can you decisively win point B? Because if the best way to actually run this is beat them on point A and then immediately use your ult advantage on point B. The moment the defenders are able to respawn and take control of B, that's when it gets really hard. So that's what we're going to be looking for here. Attacking team hopefully taking over point A, establishing a presence on point B before they even cap A, right? Moving a couple people forward just to get some poke in, and then trying to immediately cap point B within that minute. Just like you said, certainly if you have a Zarya, that's going to be, very possible if she has Graviton Surge built.
Yeah, and I think the key word in what you said there, Arg, is decisive. The more decisive a fight is, the better it is going to be for your team.
So it looks like we're going to get to see some more Genji gameplay coming in from Okami. Here's what I love about Okami. Not only do they have really good focus fire with, the dive that they have, 2 tanks and a Genji going onto each dive target. They've got the Discord going onto that target. But here's the great thing about Okami. After that dive is finished, while Winston and D.Va are doing other things, he's able to just put so much pressure on the enemy team. So they're busy looking at the D.Va Winston, but they don't see this Genji behind them. So he's getting all this free space to work. And it becomes so difficult to actually stop him from doing his job because, you have a giant mech and a monkey in your face. It's very difficult to stop that Genji who's, double jumping and flipping behind you.
I'll tell you right now, this defense absolutely has to be played in this high ground courtyard area. If you move to point and the Moira starts healing, I mean, they're going to win off just healing alone. This is going to be a really difficult, I think, match if you're running the Ana Zen on point 1. But we'll see what they can do. Once you establish an alt economy, I think anything's possible.
Yeah, you want to create this kill zone below. So you have, a couple of people who are spread out, trying to get as much damage as possible because they're going to be trying to walk through quickly. So how fast can you get the damage in there and actually get that first pick? Looks like the first pick is going to be coming in. It's going to be the attacking Zenyatta. So of course that's going to be Cold Fusion Zenyatta going down very quickly. It's going to be a huge deal. But now it looks like Kold Fusion actually able to get a couple of picks there. Okami going down early, that's going to be a huge problem. He's a huge source of Equinox's damage. But Bulinator coming in here with the Ana gameplay, not missing a whole lot of shots there. So DPS Ana is able to hold that point. A lot of heals coming out as well, not just saying only DPS, but it does look like we already have nano boost coming in from the Ana. So that's going to be pretty huge here. I know they liked, at the very least when Apple was playing on that Ana, I know they really liked the Diabolic, you know, monkey jumping in with Nano. I think that is still very good, but I'm curious to see if we're actually able to get Okami building up his blade here. Maybe we'll see, you know, Nano boosted blade here. I actually don't know that I've yet seen Bulinator miss a shot. These are actually some very, very incredible, even with that nade there, but no thank you, Okami, not able to get out of the way of the charge, getting taken out very quickly, even though they had huge advantage with the Ana nade coming in. It was a pretty fatty nade, but unfortunately nobody able to follow up on it, and Okami giving his life for the cause. I gotta tell you, I love this aggression. This is the Reinhardt that I wanted to see. I said it at the very beginning. I want to see them hit W until the enemy team is dead. Blue Rage does pay for it with his life though, but he's able to get two huge charges there, throws down the Earth Shatter. He's really doing everything he can to get kills as quickly as possible for the attacking team, for Kold Fusion, and it looks like that aggression really paid off.
See, the problem there was we saw such a good position and such a good first dive, but they never had a chance to reset the dive on defense. And I think Kold Fusion knew that, and they walked in and they punished it.
So heads-up play coming in from Kold Fusion, making a lot of good decisions here coming into, unfortunately for them, point B, which can be one of the hardest, but we're getting a huge bomb coming in. Both supports coming down from Sub-Zero. Okami trying to make everything work in his favor, but unfortunately his blade is not bigger than Blue's hammer. It goes down very quickly. This might be an immediate point cap for B. Not 100% sure where that flash went. Maybe there was a diva there that I just didn't see right clicking, but not able to connect with the flashbang headshot. Blue Rage is still on there, so it looks like they might get 2 CP'd out of this, but now Moira's coming back and Crystal getting a lot of heals off, able to save it for her team. And Daddy all day has been shutting down these tracers. It feels like every single time that a tracer actually looks at Daddy on that Zenyatta, they just instantly die. So maybe we want to stop trying to poke him with the tracer because he's got some sort of addiction to headshotting or body shotting these tracers to death.
It's a good addiction to have as a Zenyatta, man. I'll tell you that. Definitely, Daddy's been winning the Genji, winning the tracer duels. That man does not need peeling for himself. He's got it covered, and he's got the Discord and the healing orbs on his team. I mean, Daddy's doing really well in this end.
So now we're starting to see, looks like we have, even if it's just for a moment here, we've got Haggis back on that Reaper. Now that Reaper was contested a little bit earlier, you know, Dancer and I talked about why specifically in Route 66 maybe we didn't like it. I do want to point out that Reaper is a legitimate play here on defense. Now, here's what you want to do. The defense that we just saw from Equinox on point A, where it's that hold that high ground. You can do that with the Reaper, but what you really want to do with the Reaper is you want to bait the enemy team into the small corridors, maybe bait them onto point. Now, that's a great plan, but if the enemy team has a Moira and they force you as Reaper to shift, they essentially are going to win that. The moment you shift, they're going to kill the rest of your team and then deal with you later. So, you know, I'm not going to say no to the Reaper here. I think there are ways you can play it, but it does require a lot of baiting of the enemy team. And if they're walking in with, you know, 4 fatty tanks and a Moira, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually get, you know, the kills fast enough to even matter.
See, I think the Reaper is a read into quad tank, and normally I don't like the Reaper played in quad tank because quad tank means lots of damage mitigation, but when you're running the Reaper with the Junkrat has the CC, Reaper has the damage, and I think together it can be pretty rough on your on the quad tank.
It can be, and I'm actually hopeful for that. I just hope that we see a lot of focus fire coming in from that Reaper and Junkrat, because if they get separated, it's not really going to be enough for either one of them to stop any of these tanks walking in. So taking a little bit of an unusual path, Equinox is, they're going to bottom right, which usually we see people go top right or left side, but Haggis is not having any of this. He's just walking right in, getting a lot of damage in. So we saw the spam coming in. We actually already have a Coalescence coming in, but it's actually not going to do a whole heck of a lot because Sub-Zero is doing so much damage that he's enabling Haggis to get those follow-up kills. Mana is at 100 energy here, but I don't know that he's going to be lucky enough to make it out. He will be able to build his Graviton Surge. It's going to be a huge deal here. I want to see him create a little bit of space so he doesn't get picked here. Having 95 energy with Graviton Surge is actually enormous for your team. All right, so we do have an advantage coming in here for Equinox. They do have a one-man advantage. Okami's able to get that pick as the Roadhog. He also has Whole Hog, and again, Mana has that grab, so we might be seeing Whole Hog Graviton Surge combo. Haggis keeping everybody away with the Death Blossom, doing so much damage that nobody can actually capitalize and walk in off of Mata's Graviton Surge. So it was a great Graviton Surge, but Haggis actually counters it completely with his ability to push everybody away with Death Blossom. Of course, he's not pushing them away, but it's really hard to make a decision to walk into a Reaper who's Death Blossoming.
I wanted to see the commitment there. I mean, if you're quad tanking with Moira, you can, you know, spray the heals, throw the orb, then you ult with Moira, and you'll be fine against the Reaper. Reaper's anti-tank capabilities have nothing to do with his ult. His ult actually makes him weaker against tanks.
Absolutely. You know, he's another one of those situations where when he's ulting, if you shoot him, he dies. I don't know if a lot of people remember that about Reaper. Very confident fight here. Again, coming in, so it looks like we're seeing very strong defenses coming in from Cold Fusion. I feel like maybe they're a little bit more confident on the defensive here. Certainly with Haggis on the Reapers and of course Sub-Zero on the Junkrat, it's making it very difficult. You know, by the time Equinox is able to even walk into sight, they've already taken so much spam damage from that Dabrat and of course from the Reaper that, you know, it's almost like you get halfway there, you're already halfway dead, and then you initiate the fight after that. Diabolic looking to get a huge shatter. He is blocked a little bit, but it looks like it's going to be Mana and Okami coming in with 2 picks on the healers, so this is going to be huge. Haggis really needs to get a lot of value here. Not able to get any kills, and that's what we wanted to see. Exactly what you said. Everybody just needs to be in his face. Hog's healing. Moira's throwing her healing orb in there. Nobody's actually even able to die to that Reaper. So, again, a testament to the concept that if you shoot him, he will die.
Yeah, you can definitely see, you know, what we were talking about there, where, you know, Reaper ults, he had 3 prime targets right in his way. Hog takes a breather. Zarya didn't even use damage mitigation, and it looked like she was barely taking damage, because when you have 400, 500, or 600 health, you know, the Reaper ult just doesn't do much.
So decisive victory there on the back of the tanks, of course, coming in from Equinox. So now it looks like Mana is already close to another Graviton Surge here. This is going to be huge. Let's keep an eye on this Tire that's actually coming in here. Is it able to get a couple kills? It is able to get a kill on the Moira. That's actually huge. Moira did not have her shift available to be able to save herself from that Tire. So now it looks like it's going to be a full hold coming in, which is exactly what they needed to see over in Cold Fusion side. Just take a moment to slow the roll of the attacking team. You know, you let Mana stay alive or have too much space there, he's essentially just going to graviton you the moment he gets it, and the rest of your team's going to die because of that. So at the very least, able to purchase some breathing room here, because Crystal does have Coalescence coming in from the defensive side. We have the attacking Coalescence coming in from Boo. The Coalescence just kind of gently touching tips here, not able to get a whole lot of value out of them. Mana is able to do a lot of work here. He did have to throw the Graviton Surge there. Now, damage was a little bit mitigated at first because of that Moira Coalescence, but it looks like they were able to, Equinox was able to get to a lot of damage at the end there. Very decisive battle coming in from Equinox. But remember, this is 2 CP. It is Horizon Lunar Colony, so anything can happen. Apparently except for a defense, because they're immediately stopped. Looks like with such a decisive victory, the respawns were such that, you know, there was no chance for Cold Fusion to get back onto the point to be able to enable any sort of, you know, magic, you know, hold there. Losing pretty quickly, so it's 2-2. Slight advantage, of course, going over. to Cold Fusion, they were able to capitalize a little bit faster. They didn't get stuck on point A. So if we had to call a winner there, I suppose we could say it was Cold Fusion. Certainly had much more in the time bank, but we're going to stop it there for Horizon Lunar Colony because we did get a chance to see both teams attack, and they were pretty good on both sides.
I 100% would have to give the win there to Cold Fusion. They knew what Equinox was going to do. They know the meta is quad tank. Right away, they picked the two best characters. I'd say two of the best characters against quad tank. You know, like I said, Reaper for the damage. Since Junkrat got that buff, he has the 2 mines. You just throw it through the shield, boom, make a big explosion. It doesn't do that much damage, whatever. I think it's 100 to each character around. But it shoots them all over the place, makes Moira's life a living hell. She can't do all that healing to all the team together because you're splitting them up. And I think that combination, they were working it really well, where Reaper would go on the flanks. They were working because they didn't really have the peels. And then Junkrat's just splitting the team up, so it's so hard to walk in coordinated when you're exploding just all over the map.
It's such a huge deal, especially when you're the Moira in that situation, just like you mentioned, Dancer. You know, even if you have enough resource to be able to give to all your different tanks who are now in 4 different locations around you, the fact that you weren't able to use one button to click 4 people, and instead you had to do, you know, 4 actions to click to cure 4 people, that's a big problem because now you don't have any healing left in the tank, right? You only get 9 seconds of healing as Moira before your resource meter goes down. So if you spend 4 of those seconds just trying to find your tanks and heal them, you're essentially now useless. You need to actually start doing some damage. And as we've seen many, many times, DPS Moira, of course you need it to get your healing back as a resource, but DPS Moira is not going to be doing a lot of work. So it almost makes you the anchor for your team, and not in a good way. You're dragging them down at that point.
I 100% agree, and I actually love. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Org. When when you're struggling to heal your team as Moira, you're getting really annoyed, really frustrated, and then the enemy Orisa just clumps them all up for you, and you get like that free orb right left click where you just get all that healing off for free, and you're just sort of sitting there laughing. You know, you didn't take any damage.
It's such a feels good, absolutely. It's such a feels good because she just did all your work for you that the rest of her team really tried to make harder. So looks like we're actually going to be getting some Hanamura. So it looks like another 2 CP. We've been seeing a little bit of this cadence that we have going through these maps. Very similar maps one after another. We just saw Horizon Lunar Colony. Another 2 CP map here. This is going to be Hanamura. Hanamura is a little bit more forgiving, but again, once you get to that second point on Hanamura, it still is. There's no way around it. It's always going to be very, very stacked in the defense's favor. So, you know, really what you want to look for here is similar to what we said on the last map. You know, if you can get the win on point A, you need to be walking into point B immediately before the enemy team has a chance to switch if they want to switch, before they get a chance to establish high ground. You want to be able to walk in immediately. So that's what we're going to be looking forward to seeing here. Can we, 1, Cap A, because that's a big part of it, and then 2, moving from Cap A to point Cap B, how fast are we able to make that transition?
And that's why, as you said, the Lucio is almost necessary on attack for point B, even for point A. I mean, if you want to get through that choke, speed boost is so necessary. Otherwise, your entire team's taking so much free damage. Your Moira's using all their resource. Whoever your healer is just losing their abilities. You need the Lucio just to get basically in the choke. But also, like you said, you want to get there. If you get late kills after point A, you need the Lucio to get you to point B instantly before the team is set up. I mean, your best chance to win on offense is when the defense hasn't gotten a chance to set up.
So it looks like we're getting a little bit more Haggis on Widow. I'm actually very, very happy to see this here. Widow defense, there's only so many locations that the attacking team can come from, and it looks like Okami actually gets taken down right away. Haggis knows exactly where to look, looking from the choke up to that window, so getting that easy kill, but now getting dove by a Winston. Let's see if we can go ahead and outplay that Winston. Very easy. Haggis actually doing a lot of work, very smart decisions, not just good aim, but smart decisions coming in from Haggis, getting a huge kill on the Lucio. Carry me, Haggis. Oh my God, Haggis, thank you for the pause right there so I could fully absorb that headshot on the baby diva. That was actually disgusting. I know people say that a lot, but that was truly disgusting. What feels bad. Unlucky. Apparently there was an AFK going on, the AFK situation. We do have this on recording though. Please let it be known, etch it into stone. Haggis was actually insane during that first portion. I don't care who was AFK. The people who were trying to make Haggis's life difficult got absolutely destroyed. So really, really don't want to let that go. Really, really congratulations to Haggis. A lot of great Widow play there. I love the decision making, outplaying that Winston.
Yeah, and even, I mean, the Winston jumped as soon as the shift came off cooldown. But that, I guess that was too much time. Haggis got that time, on the Widow, killed the Genji right away, won every single duel, every single contest to get him away from those sight lines. That's what you love to see on Widow. A Widow that can do her job, and then even when someone's trying to stop her from doing her job, she still tries to get it done.
All right, let's see if we can get a restart here. I know that I believe somebody was away from computer, AFK as we call it, but not really sure who it was or where they're at.
I'm guessing it was on the attacking side because they're the ones that called for the restart. We were watching mostly the defense because they were the ones doing the killing. So I can't say that I saw who it might be.
All right, so Hanamura, take two. Let's see if we get similar team comps here. I would imagine something similar. There might be a few small decisions to make here and there. Even if you have the insider knowledge of knowing that there's a Widowmaker on the defensive side, you're not really going to change much. You had the Winston, I'm pretty sure you have the Diva, or maybe just the Winston. So you already know that they're going to have Widow. It doesn't really change too much of your game plan. You were kind of planning for that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I could have told you after the first two games every single comp that Equinox was going to run, because it's looked the exact same. The only major changes are Ana and Moira, and it looks like almost nothing else has been substituted.
A little bit of friendly jabbing back and forth in chat. I kind of like to see this. I want people fired up. I want to see some much more aggressive matches here. That's what we were actually very happy to see that coming in from Cold Fusion last time when they were on Lunar Horizon Colony, decisively winning that one with about 2 minutes extra in the time bank. So looks like we're actually going to be seeing another defense. Of course, we have Haggis on that Widow. Keep your eye out for Sub-Zero as well. Sub-Zero's been doing a lot of damage as the Dabrat. Again, here's the great thing about Junkrat. It's not just about seeing his face in the kill feed. Yes, of course, it's great when we saw that 4K, right? That 4K tire back on Hollywood. But the ability to completely close a lane, to be able to shut down part of the map and tell the enemy team, you are not allowed to go here. You can, but you'll die, but you're not allowed to go here, right? Being able to limit their options on attack is such a huge deal, and that's why Junkrat's so strong. You're limiting what the attacking team can actually do, so the rest of your team knows where to look. All right, so Haggis is now getting hunted pretty hard, but of course Sub-Zero, while they're taking a look at Haggis, very scared of that Widowmaker. Sub-Zero's actually able to just get some free mortar damage in. Huge headshot. Okami, please sit down. Do not approach Haggis again. It's not going to be the best time for you. And Boo immediately swaps to the Widow, walks in, gets a giant headshot on Haggis, who had gotten a little bit squirrely there, a little bit aggressive there, going up on the perch. Actually probably didn't expect that Widow to be coming in. Does pay for it with her life. So there's a huge advantage here. Not only do they not have their Widow, they don't have their Haggis, right? That's a huge deal. But Sub-Zero actually says, you know what, I'm on this team too. I'm a DPS. I can go ahead and close this lane. Getting a 2K with the tire. Pushing Boo, seeing if we can get that kill. Boo smartly moves away, kills that trap. So it's not really going to be a good decision for the for the Boo to walk in, because I do not agree with that at all. Why in the world would you approach that Junkrat? Getting an easy kill. Sub-Zero actually getting a trap kill on the Genji as well. Thank you, Sub-Zero, for holding it down, holding the fort down, giving Haggis plenty of time to get back. That was not the best peeking. I believe you had walls. There was probably a different way to peek that corner. All right, looks like Boo is actually getting 2 giant picks there, so the Widow's going down. Boo also gets a hit on Daddy, who also goes down, so they don't have an Ana. This should be an easy cleanup here for the attacking team for Kold to cap this point A. Or, I'm sorry, for Equinox to cap point A. Equinox is on the attack here, so Okami's able to get that kill. Yeah, at this point, it's just, you know, cleanup duty. Gotta give a lot of props there that, you know, the confidence that Boo showed in changing to that Widow, not only winning the first duel against Haggis, but then again winning the second duel, leading to that Ana pick was absolutely enormous. So now we want to see a very aggressive hold, a very aggressive push coming in from Equinox, trying to cap point B. The last thing that you want to do is give the enemy team time to set up. All right, very close here, and another kill. Haggis is doing a little bit too much peeking here, a little bit too much. A little bit shoulder peeking might work a little bit better for you here, because getting another headshot is Boo, opening up this fight again. Now Sub-Zero goes down. You have no damage coming in for defense here. It's going to be very difficult for them to actually hold here, even though it is 2 CP. Blade comes out from Okami. They got the B Blade getting a 2K, make that a 3K. Losing your damage that early in the fight enabled Equinox to be able to walk in with impunity, with immunity, and they did not get hurt. That actually, at this point, I don't really know what's left that can happen except for the wing and a prayer that you get from being on 2 CP. So many smart decisions coming in, and so many huge plays coming in from Boo. Boo really opened up that fight. Actually got another 2K towards the end there. Headshots only, so Boo really establishing dominance as that Widowmaker.
Boo's definitely opening it up, but I gotta say, I love that play by Okami there. He has the blade, he's patient, he's waiting, and what he actually does is he goes in and he's harassing the Moira until he sees the shift. Shift is Moira's only way to get away from Genji. As soon as Moira does it, he says, I don't care, doesn't even go for any sort of dive, any fancy stuff, immediately pulls the blade, and that's when we saw him just on cleanup duty, you know, cleaning up his own kills, all the damage he was doing with the shurikens before. Moira can't leave, she just used her shift. You know, and then Tracer is 150 health coming in. If you get the dash slice fast enough, you kill her instantly. You don't need to slice twice. And then he cleans up Ana after that. It was just absolutely beautiful. Really smart play by Okami there.
Well, whenever I play Zenyatta, one of the things that I know to look out for is the enemy Genji doing that kind of half-ass dive on me, right? Because you can tell all that they're really trying to do is, yes, they're going to damage you. Of course, they'll kill you if you let them. But what they're really trying to do is wait for you to use, you know, for Zenyatta, for you to use your Transcendence. They're trying to bait it out. They're trying to bait out your escape ability, or in that case, bait out your ultimate, so that immediately afterwards they can pop that blade. Now, that's exactly what we saw on the Moira. You don't even actually care if you get that kill right away. The only thing you care about is her wasting her shift ability. So really heads up play from Okami there. Of course, being enabled by Boo on the Widowmaker. So now it looks like we're going to see something very interesting here. Is that a Sombra I see?
I do know that Envious, back when they were called Envious and not the Dallas Fuel, loved to run the DPS as a Sombra here. And I remember Taimu, you know, just solo alting Zen. You can buy so much time with the hacks because the supports typically stay in choke and the tanks dive in. You can just buy a lot of time with the backline harassment here.
And keep in mind, with Zenyatta, he does have 200 health, but 150 of that is shields, right? So if you're going to be getting hacked, getting EMP'd as a Zenyatta, you're going to go immediately down to 50 health. Basically, she presses Q and takes 150 health off you. Just a couple, maybe like a quarter second more damage, and you're going to be dead. So it looks like Boo is able to get the kill on the D.Va suit, so we've got kills going back and forth here. Now, traditionally what we've seen in between these two teams is when kills are going back and forth, it's most likely going to be Equinox coming out on top, because they do have a lot of really, really smart DPS players who are able to confirm those kills. Looks like EMP has already come out here, hoping to give the team a fighting chance, but unfortunately, nobody's able to capitalize on that. Haggis does get the kill onto the enemy Zenyatta, but it looks like it's going to be a quick cap here. So from what we saw from Cold Fusion before until now, that was a complete change. Usually we see that it looks like Equinox has more aggression and a little bit more of an advantage in those fights that are going back and forth, but not this time. Cold Fusion is able to learn from their mistakes and stay very aggressive there. They're already on, partially, they're already on point B, staking out a good position with the Winston, with the Genji establishing some dominance there. So let's see if they're able to actually get a very quick fight in here. Probably not going to happen now that Haggis goes down to Okami as the Genji. A lot of waiting here, waiting for your Genji to get back. It looks like Moira had to use her Fate to get out of there. She was very low. Tracer knew what was going on, able to pick up the Moira in the back line. Where Sub-Zero walking, getting 2 kills as the Roadhog onto the enemy healers. That's actually a huge deal. Of course, Okami doing a lot of work himself, getting Daddy down, who is Lucio, on the attacking side. So we've got some fights going back and forth here. We've seen this a lot, but who's going to be able to get the giant hook onto Diabolic? I've got to give so much credit there from Sub-Zero. That was huge. That might have been a turning point of the fight here. Unfortunately, after that big hook, not really a great position that the rest of the team was caught in. They were kind of on this low ground type position where just so much damage is getting dumped into them. So as great as that hook was coming in from Sub-Zero to kill Diabolic, about midway through that team fight, nobody was there to capitalize. So it looks like Equinox is going to be able to hold.
I'm restoring you. This will heal you.
All right, so it looks like a little bit of confusion on this point. Maybe they're attempting to do a pincer type move where they have 2 people coming in main. Sub-Zero is able to get that kill, so it might be pretty smart here, but now they're just essentially separated with Sub-Zero at 80 health at the bottom. Is he able to get the kill on the Genji? He is! Genji would have been better off just continuing to shoot there because he only had 52 health left on Sub-Zero when he got that kill. Manamata is able to get 1 there. Is it going to be enough? Hag is getting bullied pretty hard from Boo. Boo is able to get that kill onto the Widowmaker, which is actually huge. Not letting that Widow have all the free space in the world is a really big deal. Unfortunately, Widow going down early in that fight. Okami's actually able to pull out the blade here, so we might see another full hold here coming in. Yeah, absolutely no chance. So pretty interesting fight there. Really, really like what happened with that Boo play, taking out the enemy Widowmaker before she was able to establish, high ground. It becomes a lot more difficult as Tracer to get to high ground. You are fast, but you still have to take the stairs a lot of times. So really, really smart play by Boo, not enabling the enemy Widowmaker to establish any sort of spot. Not the best bomb I've ever seen, but again, I do appreciate the thought behind it. Could have gotten a 2K there. Unfortunately, the pillar got in the way, so we're going to see how they're going to respond here. Diabolic still does have that Primal Rage. Of course, Mata has another bomb. Are they going to be able to hold with the 2 tank ultimates, or is this going to be a point cap coming in very early? Apparently not. Not if anything Boo has to say about it or Glib. This is very interesting to see here. So we're almost headed back in time. Remember at the beginning of this fight, Dancer, we said, very impressed by what we're seeing with Kold. They're able to walk in very forcefully. They're able to dictate the tempo of the fight. Now we're seeing what we saw a few games ago, where they're getting to the correct place. They're getting to high ground. They're getting to balcony. And then what happens?
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. We were watching the DPS sort of sit on high ground. I don't know where the tanks were. They came into the fight a little bit late, but at that point, Equinox had already bullied the Cold Fusion DPS out of the fight.
So here's what Cold Fusion needs to do. The only question that needs to be asked and answered is, how do we win the next fight? So are we going to, beat Coalescence? Probably not, because you're not going to get a lot of value out of that. So they don't really have a whole host of good decisions that they can make. Maybe they need to take a few dry runs, try to bait out some of the enemy ultimates, because it looks like Equinox is sitting on about 6 ultimates. So before you take any fight where you're actually attempting to cap, you better make sure that you're baiting out some enemy ultimates. So it looks like Boo does throw away the first ultimate coming in from Equinox. Not really throwing it away, because we're able to get a kill on that monkey.
And I think Tracer's okay with trading her ult for another 20 seconds of time bank. Tracer's ult comes and goes so quickly. You already see it's 10% just from the time it takes to build it.
I did not like that push in from Sub-Zero. It was a bit of a feed. You saw the Genji there. You saw the Winston there. You are able to get the Martyrdom kill on the Genji. That's pretty embarrassing, but typically that doesn't happen. Usually it's just a big feed. Here's the kind of aggression that I love to see here. So on that one, although the Junkrat was a little bit too fast, the rest of the team was able to push in very quickly, be very aggressive coming in from the balcony. Of course, Equinox not ready for that at all. Now it looks like we're getting at least a tick here, almost a tick, but it looks like this fight should be going the way of Kold Fusion. There comes Haggis getting at least one kill on the Zenyatta, but unfortunately for him, Genji was there, deflected the Death Blossom back into him. He dies very quickly. Munchchain's coming in. He's going to be getting killed potentially by this monkey here, but he does find his way to stay alive. He's able to use the field to his advantage and actually LOS that Winston's electricity, that Tesla cannon coming in.
I like the thought process there in Munchchain's mind. He knew he's dead. The monkey's not going to stop following him, so he just goes to point. And the LOS, I think, was a benefit, but he knew. I mean, he should have died there if the peels didn't come through and his team peeled the monkey. But he knows if I'm going to die, I'm going to buy time on the payload for my next respawn.
And that's what you have to do sometimes as a healer is, you have that moment where you know for a fact you're going to die if you go left, and right may take you closer to the enemy team, but I'd rather take the chance of going right and actually staying alive for a little bit longer than guaranteed death going left. So really, really smart heads-up play there. Of course, we saw the D.Va getting left alive on point for a pretty long time. Remember, they do that to make sure that they can stagger that D.Va so she doesn't respawn as quickly. Mataman is able to come in as his own D.Va, get 2 kills, first on Sub-Zero, then picking up the kill on Blue Rage. It's going to be another full hold here, and unfortunately enough for the attacking team, the full hold's not going to be very good because this is the end of the game. They needed to get some sort of traction on this fight here. Now when you lose those first couple people in the fight, when Mataman is able to do that much work, create that much space, the moment you lose those first 2-3 people, it's a very big feels bad. You don't have that respawn advantage as the attacker. You're going down very quickly. So unfortunately, losing that fight, although there were some really strong key moments in between that seemed like it looked like Equinox was going to be losing that point B. So what do you think could have gone a little bit different there, Dancer? Your Fusion, your Kold Fusion, you're coming in, you're attacking on there. Do you think maybe there could have been some key hero switches that would have enabled you to get, maybe more picks before you walk in? What would you have liked to have seen, maybe on those last 2-3 fights there?
Well, Kold Fusion had such a hard time getting to the point. When you're fighting with a Junkrat and a Reaper, you want the fight to be on point. So I mean, if your defending team is refusing to do it, which they were, if you did walk on point, you saw the tactic you see a lot in Overwatch League where maybe just the D.Va or just the Winston rotate on touching the point so you can't build any progress. If you're not able to have the fight on point with a comp that needs it, definitely switch to, I don't know, say the hit scan. We've already said hit scan thrives in 2CP when there's high ground. Hanamura has so much high ground. It has almost a bowl shape where there's 3 sides of high ground, 4 if you can get on top of the awning on the backside, on the spawner side of point 2. So I think maybe go for the hit scan there and then dive point, or dive whatever's diving your hit scan. But you definitely were unable to walk onto point for free, and that's a big problem. That's personally probably the call I would make. Once I saw that we were unable to build the space, or the team was denying us the space on point.
Yeah, well, it's very easy to look back on those things. I guess it's a little bit tough when you're in the moment, but, hopefully moving forward, we can see, more of those moments of just slowing down, trying to figure out, how do you problem solve this? You have a whole team of 5 other guys. you know, preferably if your team is going well, you're not arguing them. It's 6 people who are trying to problem solve the same issue all at once. So it's always good to slow down, especially if you're doing 2CP and attacking. You have the time, just figure out the problem you're dealing with. Looks like that's all we're going to have for today, though. Equinox coming out on top on a few maps. Cold Fusion was able to take, at the very least, Horizon Lunar Colony pretty decisively there. So really great match going back and forth. As always, I'm Argner, and thank you again for watching and supporting Horizon Scrim Night. And thank you very much for my co-host Dancer as well.
Yep, everybody, thanks for watching. Once again, our next Scrim Night is planned. It has Horizon Surge playing on Tuesday, 8 to 10 Eastern. So it'll be Arg and myself back here again, showing you some more of Horizon's team play and just some more good scrims.